Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're coming back, if you're new, welcome. Please like and subscribe and join our little party here on YouTube. This is Lifestyle Over 60 and I'm Irene. And today we're going to be talking about 9 negative things about being over 60, 9 bad things about being over 60. And let me just preface this by saying that I'm really wanting to be pro-aging on my channel and positive things, and I have a video already in the playlist I'll link below entitled 11 Good Things About Being Over 60, and someone requested that I do the bad things to balance that one out. So I'm open to requests, by the way, and happy to fill them if I can. And so today I'm going to do 9 bad things about being over 60 coming up. I want to start this video out on a positive note with a quote from the great Jack LaLanne, the great late Jack LaLanne, who I got to meet. Here's Jack and I. What a cool guy he was. And what he said was, every day is a good day if I wake up. And truly, it is. And so even though there are some negative things about getting older, there are negative things about being a teenager too. There are negative things really about every age. It's kind of how you choose to look at it, right? But somebody did request this particular video, and I do have quite a few younger people that are under 60. I'm currently 66, who watch me to get a preview of what's coming up. And I think that's smart. I think it really is, because then you can deal with it better. You know, if you know better, you do better. That's Maya Angelou. So anyway, today I'm going to be coming to you with 9 bad things about being over 60. The first bad thing about being over 60 is what happens to our bodies. I remember seeing Bette Midler on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson way back when, and somehow the subject of aging came up in their conversation, and she said, she's looking at the back of her hands, and she goes, you know what, it's like your body is disintegrating with you in it. And you know, Bette, it kind of is, and I don't mean to scare you guys who are watching this and you're only 30 or 35, but the body does change as you get older, and some of those changes aren't necessarily fabulous. So some areas of the body that are likely affected by the time you reach 60 are the skin, and your hearing and your vision, your mobility sometimes. You might have various related conditions that cause pain, aches and pains that you didn't have when you were younger. So there can be some age-related loss to what the body could do before and what it can do now. And that can be hard to deal with. You know, so tell us in the comments, how are you doing physically? If you're healthy, it's fantastic. You know, if there's nothing wrong with you at 60 or 70, that's fantastic. You know, let us know, because that's inspiring. But what we do know about aging is that it's about 40% genetic and then 60% lifestyle. So that means there's a big chunk of it that we actually can control, 60%. 40%, your body is just sort of built to age the way it's going to age. And if you look at your mother and your grandmother and her mother and all, you'll see the lineage, and you kind of begin to see your mother, your grandmother, and yourself as you're getting older, and that's just normal. And so what you have to realize, what I'm wanting to sort of get out there as a message with my channel, is that the only reason that we think that's bad is cultural. It's cultural. It's how we're raised. It's how we're brought up to think. If women are only prized for their beauty and youth and ability to reproduce, then an older woman has no value in the society. So you can see culturally how we can turn that against ourselves if we're not careful and start self-loathing simply because we're getting older. Whereas if we were in another culture that prized aging, we'd only start getting cute now at 60, you know? So just be aware that, a lot of what goes on, it's not you, it's how the culture perceives you as you age. And the second bad thing about being over 60 is that by the time you've reached this age, you're dealing with loss and grief. And if you haven't already lost your parents, then you're watching them age. And by now, you've probably lost friends, other family members, relatives, cousins who have passed away. And it's something that we live with as we get older, and it's going to continue to happen if you've got people here on earth that you love. And that's dealing with the loss of loved ones. And it's hard, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, but, this, that. There's not really any but to it. It's about learning to live with the loss, learning to live with the sadness and the pain, and finding a place for what you lose, essentially, can take time. So that's not a negative or a bad thing about being this age, that we deal with the loss, and the losses seem to pile up the older we get. The third thing that's kind of a negative about being over 60 is what I was talking about in the beginning there, and that is culturally our value goes down. And we can fight against it, and that's what I'm doing here, and that's what we are doing as women globally. But the way things are right now, your value as a female in society, if you're older, goes down. And it's not right, it's not fair, but it is. It's culturally a thing. And so it's kind of a bad thing about being over 60, but it's something that if you just know and you accept and you work to change, which is what I'm doing, if it's actionable, if there's anything you can do about it, you do that, and that will make you feel better, even though it won't change the culture. I'm not going to change our whole culture by talking to people on YouTube, but maybe a little. And if everybody else, a little, then, it will change. So there you have it. The fourth kind of negative thing about being over 60 is that dreams change or die. So if your dream was to be with a particular person, sometimes that person dies, by this age. Or if you always wanted to be an Olympic athlete, by 60, you're like, okay, certain dreams you've had to let go of and make peace with not having. That can be a process, So when you're this age, you kind of just say, okay, my dreams, I still have dreams. I hope you do, because having dreams keeps you going, something to live for, So I still have dreams, but they're different dreams than I used to have. And a lot of the dreams that I used to have that came true look very different than I thought they would look when they actually came true. So it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So, learning to roll with it is really important. And the fifth thing that can be challenging for people over 60 is financial. And in that way, if you are stressed about finances, it can be a very trying time, because over 60, it becomes difficult to get a job because of ageism in this culture. It can just be a really hard time in general when you feel devalued in society and overall, and then if you're dealing with financial challenges too, it can get kind of lonely and scary and all of that, so I hear you and understand, and for a lot of people that's rough. So financial challenges can be another negative thing about being this age. And the sixth thing that can be difficult about being over 60 is the loss of friends. And I don't just mean to death, although I have lost friends who have passed away, and that's difficult. But I mean even just growing apart, where you just realize one day that this particular person isn't making you feel good anymore. Maybe it's become toxic. Maybe they're jealous of you. Maybe you were friends so long ago that you're trying to carry something into the future that just isn't meant to go into the future, and there comes a time when you have to let go. That can be difficult, it's loss, and even though maybe even if it's your choice, it can be a hard part of being older, the loss of friends. And the seventh thing that's kind of not great about being over 60 kind of goes along with loss and grief. And, if you've lost friends, if you've lost loved ones, if you've lost dreams, then depression is actually pretty common. And if you feel that way, if you're feeling depressed, if you feel like you have nothing to live for, if you're feeling hopeless, then it's a good idea to talk to someone professionally who is trained to help you with that, because you don't have to feel that way, even though it isn't uncommon because of what we deal with at this age. But you can sort of learn how to adjust your thinking so that you can be happier and more accepting of the changes that are going on that we really can't control. So the seventh thing then is depression, and it's treatable to some extent. And so if you have it, please, talk to someone, and get some help with that. And the eighth thing about being older that's not so great is that time speeds up. So, if you really wanted to get to the end of the road, that's a good thing for you, right? But if you're enjoying your life and you kind of want to hang out, it speeds up. I don't know about you. Please tell me in the comments because I'm very curious about this. But I can't believe I'm 66 already. You know what I mean? It's like shocking to suddenly be this age, and I don't know why I feel that way, that it's a shock or a sudden, because it's taken me 66 years to get here, But I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you feel like that, if it's hard for you to kind of get it that you're the age that you are, because I'm having some issues with that. I think it's denial, maybe. But anyway, time speeds up, and my example I love to tell of this is my father-in-law, who said as he got older, he said, I know I'm taking the garbage out once a week, but it feels like it's every day. You know what I mean? Somebody else, her mom said something like, why is it always Sunday? And why is it always my turn? They play Scrabble every Sunday. And that's what stood out to her. Yeah. But time really does speed up when you get older. And, that's just a function, I think, of how many days you've lived. I'm not quite sure how that works in our brain, but it's a thing. And the last thing, the ninth negative thing about being older is aging parents. For me, my dad is going to be 94 next week. My aunt is 89. And neither of them are doing all that great physically. And so if your parents or that generation of relatives for you is still here, it can be difficult to watch them physically decline. Both because of who they used to be and who they are now because of what their body's doing. And also because we see where this is heading, that's us in that many years, sort of, So that can be a difficult thing to confront, It's kind of like, all right, well, that's where this is heading. I think for me, that means I have to carpe diem, as long as I still have some DMs to carpe. It's like, I see where this is going, and I am currently pretty healthy and functioning pretty well. And so, to just enjoy every moment. And that's it. Those are the 9 sort of bad things about being over 60. I'm sure none of them were a huge surprise to anybody, but they are things that we have to deal with as we age. And, if you're healthy, being over 60 is kind of fabulous. Really. I mean, there's so many more good things, and I could have gone on. I only had 11 in my good thing video, but there's so many more. And I would much rather be 66 than not be. You know, everybody goes, well, it's so much better than the alternative. Like, well, I don't even know that's true. I mean, I kind of like to think that where we go next is pretty fabulous, or better than this even. But even so, you know, if you still have something to live for, if you have someone to love, then you kind of want to hang out. So that's it for this video. You know, if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. And, you know, comment. Let's talk. Let's build a community of people over 60 or heading this way, hopefully, right? Who want to share your experiences, and we can help each other out. So that's it for this video. Take care and come back and see me again real soon.